Hey everybody, Todd from the Bueller Bunch. Today we're going to talk about my solar system. Solar! I've got it. Do you got it? Do you know how it works? I don't. But this is what I learned. Come along and maybe you can understand how to get rid of this, because ever since I started working with electricity, I can do this now. I don't know what that is. It's a little scary. You know, think of the 12-volt power. I mean, most of us have driven and own a car. You go, back in the day, you used to be able to go to a drive-in and you had to listen to the movie on your car.
This drive-in theater is radioactive. Now you can hear tonight's show on your AM car radio. Turn your ignition key to the accessory position. This will not drain your car battery.
And your car has a battery and your radio would only work for so long, and if you had a junky battery, your radio ain't going to work for very long. So what did everybody have to do? Start up the car. And they started up the car because there's a thing called an alternator that charges the battery, right? Well, that's kind of how this system works in a different manner. So I have a 2021 Cougar MLS by Keystone. This trailer has a 170 watt panel on the roof, a 2000 watt inverter, and a solar controller. What does all that mean? Well, I'm hoping that you will understand it a little better after seeing what I know and what I found out. Story is, when we bought our trailer, we got the solar package. I go, hey, I want the solar package. What does it do? Charges your batteries and makes it so that you can live off the grid kind of thing. So you can go camping in the middle of nowhere. I said, cool, and that's kind of what I thought. So I bought our trailer with the solar package. When I got it and the dealer started showing me and I asked them what it does and how it worked, they kind of really didn't know. They kind of knew, but I had to learn a lot. So on my trailer, everything that I need to run is right inside here. This is where my solar controller is. This is where my inverter is, and the switch that turns the inverter on. So in here, you're going to see two things, the inverter and the solar controller. What do those mean? The 12-volt system in your trailer is definitely different than the electrical system in your trailer. So there are two systems in your trailer. One is where you plug in the shore power. That should operate everything and charge your batteries. When you unplug, that's when the solar system kicks in, and that's where this will start to kind of make sense. When you're unplugged from the shore power, your solar system charges your batteries. Your batteries operate certain things within the trailer that are 12 volt. The inverter takes your battery power, invents 110 outlet power, anything that you plug into the wall, with the exception, in my case, the exception is it does not operate the microwave and it won't operate the AC system. The AC and the microwave need shore power, at least on my system. You can get it set up to where you have a bunch of solar panels and a bunch of batteries that have enough oomph, because the microwave and the air conditioner, they take up a lot of power. So on my 22 MLS, I have my two 12-volt lead acid batteries, and I have a thing called here that Keystone has put on all these newer trailers called a Giggy box.
Giggity, 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 ooh, ee, ooh, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
The Giggy box is where you will turn off and disconnect your 12-volt systems. And this is where a majority of all wiring is for most Keystones now. It's kind of a neat thing. It simplifies where wiring is. So if you turn on your 12-volt connector, so there's a switch right here. If you turn that, you're going to disconnect or connect your entire trailer. Now this is great. Turn it off for storage so you're not drawing any kind of power. Otherwise, If you keep that on, it's going to have a parasitic draw. And that parasitic draw is going to deplete your batteries over time. My two 12-volt batteries, they're lead acid. You're not supposed to take those down 50%. So even though they're 100 amp hour batteries, I can only take them down to 50 amps. I have two, that gives me 100 amp hours. You take them down anything below 50%, and the plates inside your lead acid batteries will start to sulfate and become damaged. Now, if I had lithium, which I intend to do in the near future, if I had lithium, one 100-watt lithium battery would literally take the place of both of my 12 volts. So my system, as it stands right now, has two 12-volt lead acid batteries. That only gives me 100 amp hours of usage. That would be the equivalency of one lithium battery. So the 12-volt system, just on my batteries, nothing else, no inverter, just the batteries, what that will give me by itself will operate things like your awning, will operate things like your puck lights, things like, in my case, my stereo will also be operated off of my 12-volt system. That's the inside. What works off of your 12-volt system? On a trailer, an awful lot of things. Your jack, for one. This will need 12-volt power, not shore power, 12-volt power. Your jacks, they operate off of 12-volt power. So that's why it is essential to have your 12-volt system fully charged and powered up. If your batteries are dead, you're gonna have a hard time with this, your jacks, and your awning. Just those three systems, you won't be able to move your trailer 9 times out of 10. So let's talk solar controller. There's two types out there. One is called a PWM system, and the other one's called an MPPT system. One is a little bit more efficient over the other. The PWM is a very basic controller, fairly inexpensive, but they do the job. Do they do it as efficiently? No. The MPPT controller will control your power systems about 30% better than a PWM system. So your solar controller, all it does is it takes your solar panel power and puts it in the batteries. That's it. That's all it does. It manages the power from your panel and puts it into the batteries. That's it. It's a big battery charger. So here is the ZAMP controller in my trailer. Eventually I'm going to deal with a different controller because I want it to be a little bit more efficient. This one is a very basic controller. So what you're seeing here is what it looks like when it's off. There's nothing, the battery's disconnected. You're looking at what it looks like. So it'll say full, that's all it will say. And it'll say 0. It'll flash between this full and 0 and full and 0. Now, when I start turning things on, it's going to start going, oh, you're using power. So you're starting to drain the batteries. So I need to kick on and take the power from the solar and start charging up the batteries to replace that power. So now the ZAMP controller is going to look a little different. So now it's not going to say full, it could say full, but these little lights on the bottom will indicate the level of your batteries. So where the level of your battery is where it's going to start charging. It has a couple of different types of charges. One is a float charge. When it gets up to a certain point, then it starts to back off a little bit and it starts to level your batteries in a shorter time, but it takes a long time to charge those batteries in that float mode because it's trying to even it out. Think of it as a cup of water. Yeah, the closer you get to the top, the slower you need to start taking your pitcher of water away because otherwise it's going to overflow. Now let's talk inverter.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
The inverter takes your battery power and invents power for your normal operating plugs, just like you see in your home. That's what it does. It invents power. If you think of an inverter, it invents the power from the 12-volt system and makes it an AC system to where it can run your outlets. So one's sucking off the batteries and one's putting it into the batteries. That's all it is. They're very easy to operate. So how do you turn on your inverter? Well, Pretty simple. The big thing here is you're not on shore power. Make sure you're not plugged in, because it could confuse the system, and that's the last thing I want to do, is have any kind of system getting confused. There should be a big red knob. That big red knob, you have to turn that, and that kicks power to your inverter. Once you turn that to the on position, then your inverter starts up, but you got to turn your inverter on. So push the button, and then you're going to start seeing it light up, and things are going to start to change a little bit. So it's going to tell you what your voltage is on your battery, what it understands. It's going to show you how many watts you got going out, and those little icons are going to be what your battery power is and what wattage is going out. Thanks for coming. I'm hoping that I gave you some food for thought. Again, 3 systems: solar panel, solar controller, and an inverter. You can make these systems very complicated and very powerful. It all depends on the type of trailer and the systems that you want. On mine, mine's very basic. It gives me just enough to have a good time, to stay out there for a few days off the grid. And I'm hoping you guys safe travels, and I'll see you next time on the Bueller Bunch. Thanks for coming. Remember to like and subscribe and comment down below. Boy, my trailer is very dirty. Look at that. There's all these little spots all over it. Gotta wash it now? You guys didn't tell me when I buy a trailer that I've gotta wash it. More work.